You'll see the. You'll see the. Nobody's watching yet, so that's a plus. All right, welcome in everybody. And so we are live on the VJ Ray Facebook page. We are live on the VJ Ray YouTube channel. And we have joining us once again is John, NJ4Z, and N4UFP. Can you guys still hear me? Yes, very good.
Well, I can hear you.
All right, so we're doing something. We're trying it out. It was a thing last week. We'll see if we can make it a thing again. How are you guys?
Doing fine.
Yeah, doing all right.
I figure this didn't kill us last week, so what the heck? Let's give it another shot.
Right, we'll just try it again. So I gotta start turning all this other crap on. Very good. I have to go get my beverage. So while
what are you making tonight?
I think I'm gonna have a mimosa.
Oh,
Because it's hot.
it's a morning drink.
Well, it is 8
Mornings.
a.m. somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's midnight in the UK. That's morning,
Oh, there
right?
you go. All right, yep. Can't drink all day unless you start in the morning, right? Well, it's Jack Daniel's Sinatra for me tonight.
Oh, not Sinatra. What flavor is that?
Here, Jack Daniel's Sinatra edition. That's all. Frank drank was Jack Daniel's when he was on stage, and when he died, they had lots of barrels that he had purchased left over, and his estate decided to let them age a little bit longer, and then they bottled them under the Sinatra edition, and it's a lot better than regular Jack Daniel's, I can tell you that.
I'll have to try that out. Look at that. We have somebody from Hong Kong. I bet he agrees that I can drink a mimosa at this time of a day, even for me, wherever.
Hey,
Peter,
we're not gonna be judgy.
Right.
You
We're
know.
not that type of people.
no,
Not at all. Not judgy at all, especially me.
it's mojito weather.
Oh God, no. Anyway, the big topic this week was around the house was Fred Fish Award.
Did you get it?
No,
Oh.
I still need about 90 grids, and for anybody who's listening, Fred Fish Award is a 6-meter award. You need to work all 488 grids that make up the continental United States, and I'm getting close to 400, and I need a bunch of grids in the very empty, underpopulated Pacific Northwest, and my wife had an idea. You're going to love this. She said, you should buy me an RV and then get one of these portable crank-up masts where you just have to drive over the base to stabilize it, and then I'll crank it up, get a good 6-meter beam, buy me a mobile 6-meter station to put in the RV, she said, and I'll drive to those remote grid locators and try to work you.
It's an idea.
Actually,
But wait a minute. She still wants you to build her house at the beach too, right?
well, she said I could do this before we build the house.
Actually, you could just drive that make sure it's some ratty ass RV, and you can just park that on your property down there.
Darn carpetbagging Yankees back
No.
with his RV.
We're not going down that road, gentlemen. But I'll tell you what's interesting. I started looking around, and first thing I learned, there's no such thing as a good deal on an RV. What was even more interesting was there were a lot more varieties of portable masts than I thought there were going to be. I think Brad has seen it. Well, I know he has. I've got a portable mast right now. It's called a push-up mast. It goes up to 24 feet.
Hurry up mast.
Huh?
It's a hurry up mast.
A hurry-up mast. And if you have the strength to get the base plate where you can drive over it, you can get it up pretty quickly. Bob, WA2EMF, and I used it in the South Carolina QSO party in February. Used it for both a 40 and then later in the evening an 80-meter dipole, and it worked just great. My wife is 5'1", so even when the hurry up mast is completely down, it's still taller than she is. So I need something different. And there are actually a couple of products that have a cranking mechanism, and it's one of the nicest ones, and as you might guess, one of the most expensive, is from U.S. Tower, the people who manufacture the telescoping towers. They make a simple, looks like a 16, maybe 20-foot mast. So I'm going to look around for one of those. I've got.
Pneumatic
yeah.
would be good.
Oh, I got this pneumatic mast. If you could just mount it to the back of the RV, she just needs a little small air compressor.
I'll tell you.
It's a solution.
That's what we do here, John. I don't know if you knew that or not. That's what we do. We solve people's problems. They come to us. Well, do you ever? Here's what I would do with people when you're just having a shit day, and people come up with their problems, left and right. It's like, oh my God. Do you ever just one of them? You just say, do you ever wonder where I can go for my problems? Like nowhere. I have to solve my own. I have to solve my own problems.
It's been up there, but never comes out here.
Yeah, I know. I get
Top
it.
bubble doesn't leak.
Yeah, you want to be careful. I lost my self-control one day at work, and somebody came in and attempted to pull me into a completely unnecessary, inane, unimportant problem. And I just reached in my pocket and handed him a quarter. I said, "Go make a call. Find somebody who cares." Yeah, that resulted in a visit from HR the next morning.
Boy,
oh, really?
Yep.
Well,
I won't do that again.
My favorite saying is, "I'm only being an asshole because I've tried everything else."
There you go. Nothing else worked. This is all I got left.
That's all I got left.
Anyway, so Brad, the 6-meter thing has taken on a life of its own. Not only has Miss Lee, W7LEE, decided I need to get an RV, but since her sister is a ham and my brother-in-law is a ham, and they're both retired, they're going to go with her. And I just...
Sounds like a vacation sans Marc.
You heard him. Well, no, everybody didn't hear the story before we went online was when it was Marc's wife and who else was it that drank themselves across Italy?
That was Miss Ricky, her best friend.
Yeah, which is like a neighbor too. Don't she live down the street or not far from?
Well, she used to. Now they live probably 4 or 5 miles away, but they lived much closer at one point. And Brad, to be fair, they've done that more than once. 2012 was Italy, and then in I think it was 2016 or 2018, they went to Portugal for a month.
Did they do a cruise there? Was that the cruise?
Well, they did some kind of a day cruise, but only because it was a river cruise, and the stops involved winery tours.
I see a theme here.
Yep. Anyway, so I'm looking at the comments here.
Yep.
Here's another proud owner of a ZS6B KW. And I'm glad that Mr. Halliday's had good luck with it. I'll tell you, I don't know why more people don't put that antenna up.
You said it in the video. It's American marketing genius. And then also, Brian said, in Europe or the UK it has the problem of it's not from here.
Well, that not invented here can strike anyone. But I can't figure out why people will spend a ton of money on a G5 RV, which doesn't do anything really well. It has
it's stuck in trees really well.
Well, the one thing a G5 RV is good for, it's good for testing your transmitter because it doesn't radiate much. It's kind of like a air-cooled dummy load on most bands. You wind up losing so much power in the matching network, and then you got all the coax and ladder line and everything else. if you're going to buy a G5 RV and then turn it into a ZS6BKW, you're generally a whole lot better off. And I think it is marketing. The G5 RV, some guy who worked in marketing said, we could just tell people it's a multi-band antenna because it'll radiate on all bands, right? And somebody from engineering said, well, technically, yes. Good, dude. That's all I needed to know.
Yep. Check that box. All right. We're gonna go with that.
Yeah. Cheap multi-band antenna. Here we go, guys.
That's it.
And I appreciate Brian's comment about G5 RV himself. Lou Varney, he was kind of a legend in the UK, in the ham radio world, and that gave his antenna some real clout. And so a guy from South Africa shows up and says, well, yeah, but you should do this. Do this. This is a whole lot better. And you have 55 million Englishmen saying, right, no, and end of discussion.
Just because you have a British accent does not mean you are British.
Well, as far as the British are concerned, South Africans, as they hear it, don't sound anything like them. And that is true, I guess. But yeah, it's an amazing story of how it isn't enough to have a really good idea.
It's all in the marketing.
Well, most products is 90% marketing, 10% product.
Yeah.
Brian Austin asked himself a simple question: how could I make a G5 RV type antenna that actually worked the way it's advertised to work? How do I make that happen? And he did. Took him probably 2-3 years. Brad's talked to him.
Yeah.
Problem was he never figured out a successful way to market it, to popularize it.
Well, I don't know if that was I don't think he was actually looking to make any money at it or make it popular. I think he just did it. I don't know. I didn't ask that question. That was a good question to ask. I talked to the guy for like an hour and a half. I don't know why I didn't ask that. But
Well, it happens all the time.
Should get him in here on this.
Say what?
We should get him in here on this. I mean,
No, don't do that,
to
Brad.
one.
The times are not working in your favor.
No, they're not.
He's
You guys,
probably there.
he always worked. He works CW, the QRP CW. He's got like and that's all he does.
Yeah, because there are lots of stories of inferior products that wind up becoming market successes. I'm laughing thinking about radial tires. The U.S. auto manufacturers were basically the last auto manufacturers to adopt radial tires.
Really?
Even though they'd been around since forever and were significantly better than bias ply tires. It wasn't until probably the late I bought a 1979 Chevrolet, and it came with a set of really crappy Goodyear bias ply tires that lasted about 16,000 miles. I don't think that really radials didn't become universally standard until the 1980s. They'd been standard everywhere else probably for 25, 30 years. But, sometimes it's not enough to have a better product. It's about marketing and product positioning and a bunch of other stuff. But one thing for sure, anybody who's ever put up a G5 RV has had a good experience. A ZS6BKW has had a good experience with it. I don't know anybody that put it up and told me, hey, this thing doesn't work.
Yeah, the only we'll take John away for a second till he comes. Well, no, we'll add him back. I couldn't see him. Like I said, the biggest comment we get are from people is they don't have the room to put it up. I say, oh, it must be nice to have pine trees that tall and that much room.
But, we did a video on that. There's a way around that too.
You guys carry on for a minute. I'm going to go get my beverage because I don't have that. And Mark, we got to get the answer on what you're drinking. I'll be right back.
Okay, well, I guess this is talk amongst yourselves time.
Yeah. So ZS6 BKW, that's a flat top antenna, right? You can't run it as an inverted V.
I think you might be able to. I have not tried it.
Okay.
You might be able to. A lot of it would depend on how much of an angle you got in the V and how close the ends are going to be to the ground. One thing we do know, because Brian Austin actually did this, he reconfigured it as an inverted U antenna.
Right.
And if it'll work that way, I'm guessing it might work as an inverted V.
Okay.
I haven't really tried that. I've got to go late in the month down to my other property down in Charleston County. And that may be a project. I've got a ZS6B KW down there. I may take it down and put it back up as an inverted V and see what happens. I'll let you know.
Well, we're doing a live stream Thursday night on MNANA software, modeling software. And
Okay.
I'm looking into figuring how to model the 450 ohm ladder line. And if I can figure that out, I'm going to model the ZS6, and I may try it in inverted V to see what it looks like. But the tricky part is figuring out how to get that feed line in there.
Well, I don't really use MN.
You use EasyNet, right?
I use EasyNet, and so EasyNet allows you to define a transmission line.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell it what 2 points it connects. You can specify the loss as a function of frequency.
Yeah.
One thing you could do inside something like MNANA, you could actually build the balanced line. You use two conductors. What you'll have to do ahead of time is figure out what the spacing should be, because it won't be easy to model the spacers. So you'll have what is essentially an idealized ladder line with no supports. It's just two parallel wires. And there is Brad will probably correct me. I'm probably wrong on this. I think that I think the formula for the characteristic impedance of open wire line is,
You think I'm going to correct you on that?
well, if I'm wrong, you better, 276 times the logarithm to base 10 of the 2 times the separation of the wire divided by the diameter of the wire.
Okay.
So it's 276 log of 2s over d.
Okay.
And so one thing you could do is put a pair of conductors in there.
Yeah.
I think to get 450 ohms with like number 14, probably it's on the order of 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch of separation.
I was thinking it's a quarter, but okay.
That may, you're probably right, probably an inch and a quarter, but whatever, you can work it out ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then you can, the thing you're going to have to remember is the velocity factor.
Right.
The common ladder line, the kind we've typically used for ZS6BKW, has a velocity factor of about 90%. And that means that the physical length is 10% shorter than the electrical length.
Right.
The kind of ladder line you're putting together, that velocity factor is going to be very close to 1.
Mhm.
So you're going to have to make it a little longer than 39 feet 3 inches, about, well, let's see, 10 over 9 is 1.11, 39, and probably, I would say it's going to be right around 43 feet 3 or 4 inches.
Okay.
And you'll probably have to mess with that a little bit too. But you should be able to model it, and you'll be modeling the flat top and then the 2 wires that make up the transmission line. And at the bottom of those 2 wires, you'll have a wire connecting them.
Mhm.
And that's where you can
So
put the
center.
source.
Yep. Source in the center. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to try that. We're gonna try an interactive thing, so we'll see how it goes. Nothing like just throwing something at the wall and hoping it sticks, brother.
A lot of stuff happens that way.
Yeah.
somebody says, well, what if we did this? And somebody does it, and then they look at it and say, ah.
And I know I owe you the email about the food drive thing, and I haven't sent it to you because I've had a kind of a weird week. I'll take that offline with you. I don't want to put that out for everybody, but it's just, let's just put it this way, it's been a rough week.
John has earned a drink tonight.
Yes.
Okay, well, that happens sometimes. For me, this week was just work at home and try to stay between the lines.
Yep.
We'll,
So this was the normal Hamvention weekend, right?
Yes,
it
sir.
was, except there is no Hamvention. It was
There is-
canceled.
Right, but a lot of the retailers are running specials and stuff. They're still doing like the Hamfest sales. What are you drinking, Mark?
This is a Toscana. It's a Italian blended red. This one comes from Villa Antinori in Tuscany. It was the reason I opened it. It's a 2011, and I noticed it had somehow migrated down to the bottom shelf of the wine rack, and it was sitting there. No one had drunk it, and it's now 9 years old. And for an Italian red, that's definitely time to uncork it. This isn't one of these things where I could let it sit in the rack for another 40 years and it would get better. It was going to start getting worse at some point. So I opened it up. We had steak for dinner tonight.
Ooh.
Nice.
Lee's got her implants in, and she hadn't had beef in months, so I cooked some filet and, well, as they would say in a high-end restaurant, we had haricot vert, which is French for green beans, and
Were they cooked or just blanched?
they were not blanched; they were microwaved.
Oh,
Were
wow.
they French cut at least?
As close as I could manage.
Okay. At least you
And-
tried.
That was
I
Bruce
gave it a
Grizzard.
shot, and-
He said, you go in these fancy restaurants, he said, they cook the tomatoes, but they don't cook the green beans.
They blanch them.
Hey,
Whatever.
and baked a couple of sweet potatoes.
Sweet.
Nice. Did you do those on the grill?
I have tonight. They wound up going in the microwave as well, and I cracked a bottle of this Italian red because it needed to be drunk. And after about 10 minutes to breathe, it leveled out, and it was okay. When I first tasted it, when I first opened the bottle, it was a bit woody, so it needed it needed some aeration. After that, it was fine.
I got a couple bottles of Sangiovese that are 12 years old now, and we opened one up at 10 years. We opened one at 5 and one at 10, and they're still, the one at 10 was much better than the one at 5. So I got another 3 years before I open up the next bottle. So we'll have to see.
God.
Well, it's very rare that a bottle of wine will stick around in our house long enough to get to be 9 or 10 years old.
Okay.
I like wine mostly with meals,
Yeah.
and especially in the summer.
Yep.
I grill a lot, and if it's spare ribs or pork,
Somebody's at the
Sometimes
front door.
I'll
No, I think that's me, Brad.
sometimes I'll roast a pork loin. That's usually going to be a white. If it's beef or brisket or steak or brisket or something like that, it's going to be a red. And what I've noticed is since we've been staying at home all the time, we're actually drinking more wine.
Yeah, that happens.
Mm. So what are you cooking on? You got a gas grill? Or are you cooking on smoke?
I got a gas grill. I've also got a charcoal smoker. I've got a couple of deep fryers if I want to boil some water for corn on the cob or do a low country boil.
Cool.
Nobody around here starves.
I understand that.
Mark's done a low country boil more than once or twice.
Yeah, for a carpetbagging Yankee, oddly enough, that's an area where I have some experience.
Well,
Yeah,
you
but
just
you
now,
know, You carry Louis Vuitton bags.
Furry Louis Vuitton bags. You know, they haven't had a new. They've been banking on the same design and fabrics for 100 years.
Yep.
Who's that, Louis Vuitton?
Yeah, that hasn't changed a bit.
Well, if you got something that sells, run with it.
I guess I don't.
It's all
know.
about the marketing.
I don't
Yep.
understand it. It's a fucking bag. It's not even a great bag. It's just a bag. It's just an expensive bag.
So I was in Vegas. This is years ago with a friend of mine.
And you remember?
Yeah, it was a business trip.
Yeah, mine was too. I remember getting there. My liver, I think, still somewhere in the MGM Grand.
But yeah, mine might be too. But we went. He wanted his wife's birthday, so we were walking through Caesar's Palace down there on the mall down in there, and he says, "Oh, she likes purses. I'm going to walk in this store. It's a Coach store." And the he picked up a bag and liked it, and so he asked the sales girl, he says, "Okay, how much is this?" She said, "$4." He said, "Oh, $400. That's not bad at all." She said, "No, 4,000, dear." He says, "Okay." We put this back, and that was it. Out of that store. He's like, "Is there anywhere cheap to buy anything here?" And I said, "No, man." I said, "You're screwed out here." I said, "You're not going to find anything nice for under $1,000."
Especially there on the Strip.
Yeah.
We had one guy moved here from Vegas, and my boss was wanting to try to sell Charlotte to him. I'm like, "What do you want me to sell?" I'm like, "Anything that is anything, any fancy restaurant, any designer store, department store, or clothing store, or whatever it is. It's all in Vegas. It ain't here. South Park's got a lot, but it ain't Vegas." I'm like, I don't know how you want me to sell that. Like, we could sell that. We don't have that kind of crap. That might get you to move away from Vegas. Won't be the taxes, I tell you that.
Well, everybody is different, and every place is different. I've lived a lot of different places, and I can get used to most anything. Some places are more expensive, some are less expensive. There are only one or two that I wouldn't go back to. But then maybe I just have the bar set too low. As long as I have work to do, I'm getting paid, and I have a place to live. Nobody's shooting at me. That's a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
I lived in the UK for 3 years, and people thought that was terrible. Hell, I thought it was great.
It's what you make of it in most cases.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, especially right now. I mean, if you're able to take some money home every week, I know everybody. There's probably not many that are actually making the same amount it was that they were in February, but I know a lot of people took cuts. I've taken cuts.
We've been very fortunate. I've been able to keep everybody at the same level and pay everybody 40 hours.
That's good. Did you go after any of those loans?
We did.
Did you have any luck? Because I've heard some people have not had any. Really? You had easy?
That's
Okay,
the reason we're able to pay everybody the same rate. And because work has definitely slowed down. That's for sure. So I got guys on the bench, but I'm paying them.
Well, I think as long as you can keep paying them, though, you probably won't have to pay those loans back. So
Nope. So we'll see.
now let's hope we're pulling out of this. I don't know. I've got to where I quit really watching the news. The press conferences with the president and the governors here, I didn't think were all that bad, and were enough. But oh my God! And I used to work for CBS. CBS News, nightly news, the national news would come on. It's like, oh my God, this is the absolute worst. There is no upside to anything. They're just telling you the absolute worst. And finally, I just said, I can't do it anymore. So about 3 weeks ago, I quit watching the news. I'll try to catch the press releases, or at least read the headlines from them. The bullet points. And the local news seems to be okay. But God, the national news, like, Jesus fucking Christ. Come on, people.
Yeah. Well, local news is good to a point. WSOC is a little bit of doom and gloom right now. Everything they're reporting is always bad. I've taken to the point where I just go to the SC DHEC website, and I get the data from them and do the interpretation. Like today, Last 24 hours, they had 11,000 tests. We had a 2.6 positive rate and no new deaths. So
That's
I think
2.6
positive rate. Yeah, out of those 11,000 tests.
So not 2.6 per thousand, but 2.6% of the 11,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
260.
Yeah.
Yep. Basically, it was
286.
Yeah.
So still a pretty sizable number though for the state. Although I think Mecklenburg County was about half that just for the county.
Yeah. North Carolina is trending about a 7% positive rate right now.
What are we trending at?
2.9 or 3.1, somewhere in that neighborhood.
All right. Well,
We're doing much better.
I have noticed like everybody is starting to go back down. It's gradual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is to be expected, but I don't know. I know some people think that maybe this pandemic's a little out of control, and I don't know how to relate that material to anybody else, especially nobody take this wrong way because I'm not picking on anybody, but a lot of millennials, it's just I don't think they get it. I mean, they tell you to stay home or stay away from large groups of people. Just stay away. The sooner we do this, the sooner we can get out of it. But
I've got family members on the front line, so I'm hearing the reality of the situation in the hot spots. So,
well, the hot spot, that's like New York, New Jersey.
Well, they're actually, my one sister's in Ohio, the other one's in Florida, and I got a niece in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins Prime, and she's an ICU specialty nurse, so she is seeing the worst of it, and my sister is with an assisted care facility family, so she's got 17 facilities she's responsible for, and it's a rough go for her right now. They're really having a bad time, so I get the reality of it from them, and it's hard to equate what they're seeing and being on the front line and what you're seeing as an average citizen. So the reality of it, we don't see it on that day-to-day basis. But that being said, is they're so immersed in it, they don't see what we're seeing, So the visions there's such a dichotomy between the visions that you can't really come to a common ground. And so.
Well, not, you can take it to one extreme or the other. So
Mm-hmm.
That's easy, right? Anybody can do that. It's hard. I mean, walking the razor blade, you got to walk down to stay in the middle to keep everything balanced, and you can't always do that. But
I had a phone call from somebody who was telling me that the whole coronavirus thing was a hoax. And my response to him was,
hang on, was this the same guy that said we were launching aircraft carriers into space?
No, not that guy.
But I would be. I mean, you could see how I could think that.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
okay.
you could connect the dots and it would make sense. It wasn't that guy.
Okay.
And we'll come back to that because John wants to know about the aircraft carriers in space.
That's just another great story. Yes.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Awesome.
This guy called me and he was opining on the coronavirus pandemic and said that the whole thing was fake. And my response was, well, how it appears depends on where you are. I said, here in South Carolina, if you live in a small town, and like you, I'm talking to this guy on the phone, I said, there are maybe a couple hundred people in the town you live in. Probably nobody within several miles is COVID positive. And so to you, it looks like it's nothing. I said, I got two daughters. One of them lives in the Atlanta metro area. And I can tell you for her, it's very real. And my other daughter lives in Brooklyn, and it's even more real in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I said, so you have to realize what you're seeing represents one part of the reality, but it's not the whole reality. And you have to realize that there are other people that are seeing something totally different. And he did stop and say, well, I'm sorry to hear about your daughters. Are they okay? I said, yeah, we talk to them once or twice a week. And in between, we just hope nothing stupid happens. Of course, Brad knows both my daughters, and he knows that at least in one case, something stupid not happening is that's a challenge.
Hamvention lives down south.
I've heard some stories there.
Anyway, but it was not the aircraft carrier guy. I've been getting emails from him lately, and he's not talking to me about the anti-gravity aircraft carriers anymore, and that's good, because all right, John, I have a friend.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right.
I have a friend. I've known him since the 4th grade, so that's been a month or two. And both of us wound up in the first phase of our careers becoming electrical engineers. And he worked in telecommunications. He did a lot with telephone switching systems, that sort of thing. And I worked in essentially semiconductor manufacture. A really bright engineer who's my age, in his golden years now and retired. And I still like him. I mean, I've known him for 55 years. I can't turn your back on somebody like that.
The only thing you can say to him is bless your heart.
Well, yeah, in New York we'd say God love him. We don't, but God love him. Anyway, he's become very much a conspiracy theorist.
Oh boy.
And the thing is, he's a smart guy. And he can really make it very plausible. And he and I got into a discussion about the U.S. Navy's space carrier program.
Space Force. Space farce.
He contends that the U.S. Navy has had practical anti-gravity technology since shortly after World War II, and they've been launching aircraft carriers into space. Essentially, well, they don't carry aircraft; they carry other rockets. And he gave me the rough dimensions. They were about 5,000 feet long and about 1,000 feet in diameter, and which is big. That's 5 times the length of a Ford-class aircraft carrier. And not only is it 5 times the length, but it's probably, I don't even know. I mean, an aircraft carrier like the USS Ford probably weighs 100,000 tons. And these things have to go 1 million tons or more.
Yeah.
And when he started telling me about it, my first question was, dude, how in the hell do you get 1 million tons of anything up in space and keep it secret?
Especially now when there's no space shuttle.
Cloaking device.
And especially like in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And of course, then my other comment was, once you take a couple million tons of stuff and turn it into something, it has a huge radar cross section. No amount of stealth technology is going to make that thing invisible. And the funny thing is, even if you could make it stealthy the way the B-2 is, there's still one more problem, and that is the obstruction issue. I don't know if any of you have been following this battle that's been going on between astronomers and Elon Musk. It's interesting. Elon Musk decided the entire world needed the internet so that they could see advertisements for Teslas and buy one. Because let's face it, one thing Brazil needs is more electric cars. Let's make sure they get them.
Yep.
Brazil.
Or maybe Nepal, I don't know. The whole world.
Yeah.
So in order to do this, Musk has been putting up bunches and bunches of what he calls his Starlink satellites. Well, he figured they were small and nobody would notice them. He was wrong. When astronomers do deep sky astronomy, they'll use large telescopes with motor drives, and an exposure might go on for a couple hours because you're trying to image something that's like, I don't know, 10 billion light years away. That's an unimaginably large distance. And so the light's very weak, even with a big telescope like the Mount Palomar. And so the exposures will go on for hours. And what happened, the astronomers noticed these streaks. And what it was?
It's the fucking stuff moving. It's the rotation of the Earth.
No, it's the satellites.
Satellites.
No, it was the aircraft carriers.
Well, the thing
running-
is, and this was my point to my buddy, if the astronomers can see these little tiny low Earth orbit satellites,
Mhm.
an aircraft carrier or a space carrier, 5,000 feet long and 1,000 feet in diameter.
Look like the fucking moon.
Yeah, I mean that's like, you know,
But Mark, they have
Yeah,
cameras on
sure.
top to project what's on behind them to the.
It's a
level.
hologram. It's a hologram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really need to hook you guys up with him.
So they stole the German Bell technology, and now they have anti-grav, right?
Well, he didn't bring up Die Glocke, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm impressed you do.
Yep, I know all about Die Glocke. That's yeah.
There's some good stories, man. Mark's got some classics. Oh my
We've
god.
gone everywhere but Hamfest.
I
Yeah.
know. We eventually got to start. Screw it.
Well, I tried reining you guys in a couple times.
Yeah, I
It turned
know.
out to be an exercise in futility.
I know,
It's
but
like
it's like going to lunch. It's like going to lunch. We'll start. Yeah, we need to talk about this. We get through lunch, and then we sit there and talk another hour, and it's like, I guess we'll talk about this next week. Yeah,
It's all in good fun and
it
entertaining.
is. But okay, so you want to talk Hamfest? Let's
Sure.
talk Hamfest.
There is no Hamfest.
There is no Hamfest. It's
Hamvention.
sad. Yeah, no Hamvention.
No.
Mark, you said, let's see, around here, the Carolinas, the only thing that is still on track is Waynesville, right?
Waynesville, last Saturday in July,
And Shelby.
and
That's the only
Shelby,
ones that have the same dates.
and one more, the
Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge Club's Upstate Ham Fest that is normally the first Saturday in May at the Spartanburg County Fairgrounds in Spartanburg. Same venue, now September 12th.
And then
When
Rock
it's-
October 6th.
And then when we get into October, you guys are the first Saturday in October.
Yep.
All right.
That might be the
7:41.
best. That might be the best one I've seen.
The carriers must have cloaking devices. Yeah. They must have. I'm telling you.
Oh my
They
gosh.
stole it. Who had the cloaking devices? Was it the Klingons or the Romulans?
The Klingons, then the Romulans got it.
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
Well, these guys must have. They must have stole it. All right. Good. Anyway, so the Rock Hill Ham Fest, first Saturday in October. I don't know a whole lot about it other than that. But John, when you know more, let me know, and I'll get the
Well, we're
word out.
going forward. We're going to start selling tickets probably end of July online. And
Oh, good.
yeah, and we're starting to recruit vendors. We have at least one signed and some verbal commitments from others, but all subject to change depending on conditions in the field. So we're hoping to go forward with that, but same place as it was last year. And,
Okay.
yeah, it's the Newkirk Baptist Church right there on 161 by the Armory.
Right, 8 a.m. kickoff time.
8 a.m. kickoff time. We're going to kick it back to 8. I know 7, it's still kind of dark, so we had some complaints, so we're going to kick it off at 8 and run at 8 till 2 or 8 to 3. We're not 100% sure yet.
Well, what I'll do, I'll probably collect a few items, send out an amendment, actually an addendum to my section report. I'll
Mhm.
include that, so we'll get people to think about it. We'll put it up in their.
I'll type it up.
Up in
for you. I'm
there.
not chairing it this year. Philip is, Cam4WLS is chairing it this year. So I vol-included him into doing it. So I told him I couldn't be club president, run the Hamfest, and be the EC all at the same time.
Well, I don't see why not. Don FD would be able to do that.
Well, I'm not Don.
And for that we are thankful.
Yes. Bless. I mean, not to speak ill of the dead.
No.
No,
Well,
not
no,
at all.
Don-
I love Don.
Don. He was a great guy. You just had to understand who Don was,
Mhm.
and as long as you understood who he was, you were fine. It's
I
when you
appreciate
started
it.
listening to him tell you who he was, that's when the problems began.
Gotcha.
So what's the deal? I got an email from the league about if you renew or upgrade your membership,
Your code
you get some, Yeah, you get some swag. Do you know anything about that, Mark?
I'd have to look on the webpage to see what the swag is. It's
Colby
typically it's free publications.
Okay. Colby was in here earlier, and he
Yeah, he made a
he
mention here.
talked
I'll
about it.
pop that back up there.
So I don't know
Colby,
what swag
what was the swag? We need to know the swag.
Yeah,
Everybody wants swag.
probably one of them ugly green.
Yeah, I'm seeing Colby's message from 845. I'd have to go out and look. Typically, the swag is from ARRL Publications,
Mhm.
and they do have some good books, especially if you're a new ham. Some of those books can be really helpful.
Well, while we're sitting here conversating, let me see what I can find. How about that?
I was just doing the same thing.
Oh, well, look at you. Technical.
Great minds think alike.
ARRL.org.
RRL. Alpha Romeo Lima.
Learn more. Let's see.
That's an ugly mug. That's not it. Am I missing this? I guess I'm just too stupid to figure it out. I'll let you do it. You're obviously more versed than me.
I guess, do you get this?
That's
You get a button and a grocery bag.
a button and a grocery bag.
Now, if you upgrade Renew to Diamond Club, you get some other
Next, they'll be giving away a
Other dice.
DXCC.
coaster. The coaster's kind of cool here.
Well, I should have renewed my Diamond Club late.
Are you a Diamond Club member?
Yeah.
I am.
Kind of requirement his position.
Is it?
Be right back.
And then this is. We'll show. Talk about his. What's that? What was he complaining about last week? Was it this ugly green shirt?
Yeah, that ugly green shirt. The dog let herself in, so I had to go close the door.
You can't click on the. There it is.
Yeah, that is hideous. It's my God, it's so loud it'd make a blind person scream.
It's ugly enough that I'd want to send one to my ex-wife.
Speaking of swag, look what I got in the mail yesterday.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Colin sent me a mug. I was on their live stream a couple weeks ago and answered a trivia question, and I knew what his dogs' names were. And they
His
were so
dogs?
yeah, they were so impressed that I knew the dog's name. They sent me the mug. I said, "Well, I like dogs better than I like people." So,
You reckon he's still up?
who Colin?
Yeah.
If he hadn't passed out, I mean, he was pretty lit on his last live stream. So,
What's his call? M0.
MCX.
I'm just trying to.
I'm
pull
trying
this
to
up.
talk him into doing a live stream with us at Y Cars. So, did you guys participate in the Hamvention QSO party today?
I did not. I had a number of things I had to do for Miss Lee,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. It was funny. I woke up and made breakfast and got cleaned up, and I had two things on my planner today: mow the grass and spend some time out here in the shack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the grass never got mowed, and I didn't get out here until about 4:30 this afternoon. And then about 5:30, I went back in to cook dinner, and I sat with Lee for a little while till she went to bed. We sat out on the front porch and just chatted.
Yeah.
Actually, we spent a lot of the time talking about the road trip they're going to take out west to help me with all those grids. They're dead serious about that. And the thing is, all three of them are hams.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, they could take turns. I mean, you know how sporadic he is.
Yep.
You know it's going to happen. You just don't know when
And where?
and where. And they might be parked in some remote grid in Wyoming somewhere, and they might have to wait all day to make a contact with me. But if there's 3 of them there, I'm sure the others will find something to do.
Yeah, uncork a bottle of wine too.
Well, yeah, that might, yeah, Miss Lee certainly would be okay with that. Miss Lee's sister,
Yeah.
Paula,
No.
I love her to death. She is funny. She is a practical joker.
Uh-huh.
Oh God. There are stories of things that she has done to her friends over the years, and sometimes my wife will help her out. One time, and I know about this because I was the wheelman. Lee and Paula bought about 2,000 Peeps, the things, the little yellow chicken things you get at Easter, the candies.
I love those things.
They put 2,000 of them on forks, and then they stuck the forks into the front lawn of Paula's son and daughter-in-law. And so when Dane and Carolyn got up the next morning, went out to get the paper, their front lawn there were all these Peeps that had been stuck in the ground on forks.
How long did it take them to put 2,000 Peeps on forks?
Oh, quite a while, because I was driving the getaway vehicle.
Wow.
And even worse,
That's commitment.
This happened right before field day, and KB4 GFJ Morgan, he was with me.
Oh, Lord.
And so my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my lovely wife, they're just putting row after row of these Peeps in, and they had it down to a science. And they've done that a number of times to people. People wake up.
Instead of flamingling in the yards, they're peeping the yards.
Yep, covering them with Peeps. And that gets interesting fast after the ants find them.
Yeah, that's expensive, though, because those Peeps and the forks can't be cheap.
Well, they buy them right after Easter when they're on sale.
Ah, wow.
Everybody likes a deal. And Paula, one time, she got up at dark 30 and had split open some big 60-gallon black trash bags, and they duct taped them over their neighbors' windows. So when those people woke up, they could see absolutely nothing. And
Friends like that?
another time, now she lives out in the sticks and about halfway from Columbus to Toledo.
Yeah.
Another time, she painted her neighbor's dog blue. They had a white German Shepherd, and Paul and Bob painted it blue.
Good Lord.
Not a lot to do up there in Ohio, is there?
Apparently not. That's how it's made anyways.
They have, and my poor brother-in-law has been involved in some of them. She enlisted him to hotwire a neighbor's car, and then she left a metal. You know how they take cars and crush them at a junkyard down into a small cube? Yeah. She had Bob push one of those off the back of his truck. They left it in the driveway, and they hotwired this dude's car and took it and locked it in their barn.
Now, I know our CTO, he's from South Dakota. So he said, they didn't lock cars. They left the keys in the ignition, right? Because that's what it's like 200 people that lived in this town. And there was the town lady that got around. That's it. They would take and just, when they'd see it out at the random guy's house, they would just take it and move her car. Just go park it somewhere else.
She's doing the walk of shame looking for her car.
Isn't that bad? I mean, everybody already knows.
Just desserts, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Bless her
It's
heart.
terrible. But I ended up did work some stations on the QSO part today, mobile. It's been an interesting week out of the mobile. I had mobile to marine mobile, mobile to mobile, and yesterday mobile to aeronautical mobile.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, I was sitting in the parking lot up at urgent care yesterday, and I ended up working a 737 going from. He was going to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I don't remember where he started out at, but on 20 meters. So a sailboat in a sailboat in the Gulf of Mexico. I worked a guy in a mobile station in Virginia on I-64, and then I had the aeronautical mobile 737 this week. All from the flip.
The 737, is it that a commercial? That wasn't a commercial, was it?
Yeah, commercial flip.
What's he doing around tooling on 20 meters?
They're allowed to do that.
Probably had.
I get them all the time out of Charlotte. Yeah, those guys will get on and do radio checks, and they're licensed. They can talk on the radio.
Well, I know, but all that
Themselves.
aeronautical stuff was all like VHF. I think those things went down to,
No,
well, they got like upper sideband.
I got a Black Hawk one time flying over Virginia.
Yeah, but that's military. That's different.
Yeah, and a C-130 Hurricane Hunter.
Yeah, I've done I worked a couple C-130s. They just sits back there, and the reason they stop at 20 meters because the radios it's only got upper sideband on.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But the guys out of Charlotte, there's one pilot. He lives up in Virginia. I'm trying to think of what his call sign. He's got a one call. Darn it!
Of course.
I can't remember what his name is now. But he lives in Virginia. He drives down here to Charlotte, flies out of Charlotte all the time, and I catch him quite often going out of Charlotte.
Yeah, mobile HF's fun, man.
Yep.
When the band's open, it's fun. I tell you, when I put it finally, because I did it years ago, back before you knew me. I need to find a picture of this. I had a town car, Lincoln town car, had a screwdriver mounted on the back of it.
I cannot see you driving a town car.
Mark, you were in it, right?
Yeah.
That's a pimp mobile, brother.
Man, you talking about a smooth ride? I tell you, that a car that size, that heavy, 70 miles an hour on the interstate, get 24 miles to the gallon.
I just assumed you were a pickup truck guy for life. You'd be driving a pickup truck or a Corvette.
I can't afford a Corvette.
Hmm.
Mark sold his. I got a Barbie car or whatever it was.
A Barbie car. Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
No, I like the Saturn. I really did. I like the Saturn.
Oh, it was one of the Saturn Skies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool car. I like
Yeah,
that.
the Pontiac version was the Barbie car.
Yeah, the Solstice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
In pink.
Yeah, Brad likes to pick on my my automobiles.
Yeah.
You know, the Sky, and then I was inadequate. I didn't have a town car. I had a Grand Marquis,
Well, nothing wrong with that.
which
Yeah.
my buddies nicknamed the Senior Cruiser.
Well, it was.
The what is it? No, I'm going to screw it up. Boca Vista Cruiser. That's it. All the folks down at Boca del Vista in Florida driving those things.
Yep.
The
We
Boca.
can't get them anymore.
Nope.
Can't get that or the Crown Vic.
Well, Mercury's not in business any longer, right?
Oh,
No,
they're
it
gone.
was the same car as the Crown Vic.
Yeah.
It was just trimmed out different.
Yeah, but Ford divested Mercury during the 2008 downturn, didn't they?
Well, yeah, because they made 3 of the exact same car for
Right.
every frickin' car. Who thought that was a good idea?
And Ford actually doesn't manufacture a car now other than the Mustang. Everything else is SUVs. They turned off all the lines.
What about the like the Fiesta, the hatchback?
Nope. They quit.
They're not making that?
Mm-mm. They make the Mustang is the only car they make. Everything else is an SUV.
I'll tell you, I like that Mustang RTR. I mean,
I
it's
haven't
just
seen it.
it's a goofy It's got a goofy name. You know what RTR stands for?
I'm afraid to ask.
Ready to rock.
Ready to rock, huh? Is it the electric version?
Nope.
No. I
It's
haven't
got
seen
less. It's got less horsepower than the. I mean, you can get the. Well, Chrysler's got the or Dodge has got the Demon.
Yeah.
It's a Hellcat Demon,
Yep.
which has got I think the supercharger on it is louder than the engine.
Yeah, 700 and some odd horsepower.
Right, but you can get the Camaro, the Exorcist. It's 1,000 horsepower.
Ooh. Well, I know
1,000 horsepower. Stock
performance-
brakes. The only thing that's been done
is they juiced it up.
is the engine. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it
Hendrick
still doesn't handle.
together their Hendrick Performance Camaros, and I think those have 750 or 850 in them. But they've got brakes and handling and everything else. I mean, you go buy the Camaro, you drop it off in Concord, you wait 6 or 8 months, and they deliver you a car.
I tell you though, if you're going to spend that much money on the car and then to have all that done,
Yeah.
why don't you just buy the Corvette? I mean, for a sports car, and really they're approaching the supercar status.
Well, they are a supercar.
Yeah, now that they're mid-engine.
Yeah.
For the money, hell, what else can you buy?
Mm-hmm. Not much.
Yeah, I've already had a Corvette, so I'm not going down that road again.
But that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago.
You need German horsepower. A 1989 560 with 450 horses.
No,
I know exactly where you can get one.
and I would love to help you out, John. But sadly, my driveway is filled with a 1959 Triumph Roadster and the many spare parts I need in order to keep that damn thing moving.
You can't run down to Home Depot and get a belt for it or anything?
Well, you could.
Yeah.
That's
It's got a John Deere motor in it, right?
Say what?
It's got a John Deere motor in it, right?
No, close. Massey Ferguson.
Massey Ferguson. I knew it was one of the tractor manufacturers.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, at least it's not a New Holland, because then it'd be related to Ford.
Yeah, that was a money-saving move on Sir John Black's part.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go through the expense of developing a completely new engine after World War II, so he got Massey Ferguson. They had a 4-cylinder tractor engine, and it needed a little bit of modification.
All right, so here's. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'd suggest you put a 12-cylinder Merlin in it, but the motor would be bigger than the car.
Yeah.
Now, here's the sad part. You talk about German horsepower. So Volkswagen,
God,
look at all the shit they own now.
Yeah. Bugatti.
Yeah, Bugatti. Oh my God, Bugatti,
Yeah.
Lamborghini, Porsche,
Yeah.
and is Ferrari? Is that Indian or is that still owned by the Italians?
I think it's still owned by the Italians.
That and Maserati, right?
Yeah.
At least they don't own Jaguar.
Now, who owns Jaguar now?
Tata Heavy Industries Limited of India.
Yeah, it's Indian. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I've always had an affinity for Jaguar.
I own 2 of them.
Which ones?
I had an XJ6 and then an XJS V12.
My uncle had an XKE, and I think that's why. In fact, he passed last night. As a matter of fact, but
Oh no, I'm sorry.
yeah, thank you. We got word from Canada.
Damn, man.
Today. Yeah.
Shit week.
Yeah. It was my dad's next in line behind my dad, his brother. Yeah, I hadn't seen him in a long time. Last time I saw him was my other uncle's funeral, his younger brother's funeral. But he had been sick for a long time, so he's at a better place. But yeah, he had a 70, either a 71 or a 72 XKE V12, and British Racing Green with the tan camel interior and the black top. Just an absolute beautiful car, and I think that's why I've got such an affinity for Jaguar.
They are nice cars.
Mm-hmm. Pain in the ass to maintain.
Yes, I was looking for a more polite way to say it, but there isn't one.
They already.
And part of what made them so interesting was that the engineering choices that the Jaguar folks made didn't really reflect how difficult it was going to be to maintain. On the V12, the spark plugs, now in a normal V engine, German V engine, Japanese V engine, US V engines. Oh shit, Fred Willard died?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
86, man. That was today.
Oh God, he was a funny guy. Anyway, so in most V engines, the spark plugs go into the cylinder from the outside of the bank.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about a typical V8, the spark plug wires come around, and of course the one exception is the Hemi, the classic Hemi design where the spark plugs go down through the valve cover.
Right.
Not good enough for Jaguar. They decided they could get more horsepower the way the combustion chamber was designed by putting the spark plugs under the intake. So when you had to change the plugs, fuel injection came off.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, ah!
So it's about like, it's almost like a Lancia that when they mount the power steering pump to like the end of the camshaft.
Yeah.
So if it's cold and you go full lock, the engine could explode. I mean, on Wednesdays, the engine could explode. Great ideas. Great ideas.
Beautiful ideas.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand, the first Jag was an anniversary present for my ex. It was an XJ6, and of course they'd been making that double overhead cam 6-cylinder forever. I didn't have much trouble with that car. In fact, my ex got it in the divorce. She took it with her, and I think she finally the engine. She blew the engine at about 140,000 miles, and the root cause was the rear main oil seal was going bad, and she just wasn't watching the oil as carefully as she should. But if she'd been willing to pull that engine and put a new rear main seal in, probably would have gone another 100,000 miles. Didn't have any trouble with that sedan at all. But boy,
that was after they went to the 12-volt system, right? That wasn't the 6-volt system, right?
No, it's 12 volt. But that XJS V12, there were 2 good days: the day I bought it and the day I sold it. And in between, actually, in the first 6 months I owned it was great, and then I had a warranty issue, and I took it back to the dealer. And once somebody turned a wrench on that engine, it was never the same again. And
Factory trained technicians.
Sell it.
Yeah, they were factory trained. They just weren't trained to work on cars. I don't know what they were trained to do, but cars probably wasn't the main thing.
Who owned them back then?
Probably Ford.
It was Ford then?
Yeah, Ford bought them.
Fixed.
Ford bought them in 79 or 81, somewhere around there.
Ford bought them at some point in the 80s, and so the Jags I had were actually they were not Jaguars, they were Ford URs. So it's actually a division of Ford Motor Company.
Yeah, they're kind of like the BSA Harley Davidsons.
Boy Scouts of America?
No, Birmingham Small Arms. I think, is that right, John? Is that what that
I think you're right. I was trying to think of the acronym and I couldn't think of it, but I think you're right. I think it's Birmingham Small Arms.
Yeah, this is a kind of weird shit that I'll never forget, having lived in the UK.
Yeah. Birmingham Small Arms. They also own bowling alleys. Go figure that out.
Well, it's a big thing after World War II in the late 1950s and 1960s was market diversification. Companies made acquisitions to try to get into unrelated markets, and the theory was, if you were a company like AMF, American Machine and Foundry, and if the machine tool market tanked, you were also making pin setting machines for bowling alleys, and maybe that market would be going up. So you had these conglomerates that popped up that might own 10, 12 unrelated businesses, And the idea was it provided diversification. It's kind of like having a stock portfolio rather than a single stock.
Yeah.
The problem was there were no economies of scale. The people who were good at managing the machine tool business didn't know shit about bowling alleys. And in one particularly tragic case, AMF, I believe at one point when I was young, owned Harley Davidson.
They did.
And nobody at AMF knew anything about building motorcycles. And one of the best things that happened to Harley was they cut it loose. That was what I think what saved Harley, because then you had motorcycle people building motorcycles. That's a lot more likely to be successful.
Yep. Well, there's times when you can pull things like that off, like, you know, during World War II, and they were, you know, everybody was building M1 Grands, or, you know, those kind of things. That's one thing, but doing it outside of a wartime footing, different animal altogether, because you're not all sharing knowledge. You're having to do it on your own.
And sometimes there's no knowledge to share. You know, if you've got really disparate businesses, there may not be things in business A that you can easily know how that you can transfer into business B.
Yep, for sure.
That was my former employer. I joined him when it was a startup, and we went through an IPO, and that started to make acquisitions, and it was hard to stay focused. You know, we had to keep reminding ourselves we're in the chemical manufacturing business. We're not in aerospace. We're not in other things. We make chemicals, and so if we make acquisitions, somehow there has to be some commonality. What's the buzzword they used in the '80s? Some synergy. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I was a buzzword up until about 2008.
I used to do a lot of work for Calgon back in the day when they were still around. East China. What was it? East China. They had a kaolin mine down there in Georgia. Heck.
Okay.
Oh man, East China something, and they actually owned Calgon Chemicals. And I did a bunch of work for Calgon. I did a plant down in Houston, did a plant in Greer, South Carolina, did a plant in Oil City, Pennsylvania, of all places.
Boy, that's Oil City, Pennsylvania. That's
Middle of nowhere, brother.
Say what?
Oh, middle of nowhere.
Yep. I've been in that part of Pennsylvania. No matter where you are in that part of Pennsylvania, you're nowhere.
Yeah, half an hour northeast of Newcastle.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
Yep.
I grew
Northwestern.
up not too far from there, being a Youngstown boy or Youngstown area boy. But yeah, we used to go over Oil City and see the fast girls. Did I say that out loud? It's kind of like the Mount Pilot girls.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. Okay, I'm not saying a word.
All right, so we need to round some people up for Barry Net, right?
Well, we probably I think that's actually Barry's job.
True.
But we should probably tell people that if they're somewhere within line of sight of Rock Hill, South Carolina, or if we have sporadic e-propagation on 10 meters this evening,
which we could
look for the Hoodlum net on 10 meters, 28.340 megahertz, upper sideband, of course, at 10 p.m. The net control station will be Kilo Echo 4, November Oscar Echo, KE4NOE, Barry. And, I got to really tip my hat to Barry. He is the net manager and the net control station. That guy has done a weekly net for over 20 years.
Yep.
1,080 something is what he's up to.
Yeah.
1,089, I think, this week, or 1,087, one of the two. But he checked in with Simplex Net last night. So, but yeah, he's all about getting together for 1,100. So we'll have to do something, whether it's a barbecue or I don't know. We'll have to figure something out for 1,100.
Did he quit calling the White Cars Net? Wasn't he doing?
Yeah, that was a little point of contention there. So
we don't have to go into it.
Yeah, we'll just put it this way: we got a couple of vocal comments of that the net was not headed in the right direction. So I talked to him and asked him just to kind of pull back from the comments, and because it wasn't our repeater, and I was greeted with the okay, fine, I'm going to take my ball and go home. So
Okay.
I said, yeah, that's your choice. You know,
No, he's done that net on that repeater at least one night a week. Let's see, I've been in it 25. He's probably done it 25 years. So he's earned a break. He deserves a break.
yeah, and I don't have a problem in the world. I mean, if you don't, again, I had to make the phone call. I had enough people call me and complain. I was like, okay, I got to make a phone call. So it wasn't a fun phone call. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, some people like we got into this last week, right? It's a hobby. Remember, It's a hobby. This is nobody's full-time job.
Yep. Well, and I was driving back from actually at Barry's house. As a matter of fact, I dropped something off for him today, and was driving up down here in Rock Hill, and somebody was on the linked repeater system saying some stuff that was kind of like, and somebody called him down on a repeater system, and it became pretty ugly there for a few seconds. So I was like, well, okay, that's interesting.
I'm not comfortable talking about politics or religion.
Yeah,
really
it was
people, but especially in that public setting.
It was on 11 meter stuff. So,
Well,
whatever.
one thing he has done, he's certainly found his level with the hoodlum net. He's really found something he could get interested in,
absolutely,
and he's
He's
made it work.
He did it all on his own. He did that all by himself.
yeah, I got no problem at all. That's
absolutely.
what I told him. I said, Barry, I said, you know what? You can say anything you want on a hoodlum net all day long, every day. It doesn't matter what you say. I said, but when we're on somebody else's repeater and you're representing the club, you've got to be careful what you say.
Oh, I got into it with. This was back when Packet was the thing. Did you ever do any Packet, John?
Yeah.
You did?
Oh, no. Me?
John.
I've done a very little packet. I'm actually learning about that more and more.
Packet turned out to be it was a big thing around here. It got just ramped up, just boom. Somebody got into it, so there's a group that got into it.
Mm-hmm.
And FD, Don, yeah, he was in it. So we all had TNCs, right, where we could just type to each other instead of just talking on the radio. It was the precursor to texting, I guess.
Yeah.
So you do that. You could leave like email messages. It was just called mail. I think on your TNC, you'd come in, at the end of the day, and the mail light would be blinking. You could read it, whatever. Well, and then there was a BBS down in Lancaster. I forget it. KD4DVT. I forget his name. But we were talking about putting up a digipeater over at the water tower, which we eventually did. And he started running me down like over, I was connected to the BBS. He starts chatting with me, and I'm like, the problem with text, we knew then, and we definitely know now, is tone does not transpose in letters. It's like they say, don't be a smart ass to the police, because when it gets read back in court, it's just no, right? So he was going on like, well, when are y'all going to put this up? And I'm like, I don't know. I think it's got to go to a vote. Here I am. I think I might be 15 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He is giving me down the road. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here. Why is he giving me a hard time? Like, I don't make the decisions. I'm a member. That's it. All I can do is vote. I'm one vote.
Yeah.
And, well, he got mad at me, started yelling at Shep about me. And Shep looked at him and said, well, he's a member. He's got an opinion. He's welcome to say it. It just kind of moved along.
Yeah.
But people get all out of whack over the little stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a cool thing. The hobby, anything we do, it's a cool thing to do. But we're probably not going to make any money off of it. So I don't know why everybody gets upset over every little thing.
Well, it's just, everybody's got their opinion, like you said. And unfortunately, when you're in a position of leadership, you have to heed everybody's opinion. And, and sometimes you have to act on things that you don't think are actually the best course of action. But, it's the will of the masses. So you kind of have to take that under your belt and sometimes swallow your best judgment and go the other way. So not that I do that often, but in this case, since it wasn't our repeater, I had to make the comment.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, have we heard any more updates on the league's opinion of field day?
No, not really. I attached some information to my section report earlier about field day. I had exchanged some very nice emails with Roanoke Division Vice Director Bill Marine, N4UFP, and the position of the board right now is that, and I appreciate I appreciate the position. They don't want to tweak or mess around with the rules for a single year, and one of the things they're worried about is if they were to add something like for example, a club competition, because that was one of the things that I brought to the director and vice director. I had a discussion with some folks, actually two different discussions with people from clubs in the Midlands and another group from northeastern part of the state, and they were looking for a different way to have clubs involved in field day, given how things are turning out this year. And the whole issue of club competition came up. And that, I know one of the places you see it is in CQ Worldwide. And so I pitched the idea to the board. That they didn't see as much value in it as I did. That's fine. One of the interesting points Bill Marine brought up, which is worth passing on, is an unintended consequence of something like that might be to incentivize individual operation by club members that can get rolled up into a club score, as opposed to the club members actually getting together. And part of the purpose of field day is to showcase amateur radio, go out, do something, connect with the public. And Bill said, and he made a good point, that club scores might actually have the unintended consequence of lessening club activity in the future. So I think right now they're going to stand pat, and to some degree they're expecting us, the 700,000 hams or however many are in the United States this week, they're expecting us to be creative. They're expecting us to.
We've got a plan.
Yeah, and I think I've talked to clubs, and different clubs have different plans. A couple of clubs are going to.
I think we need to to share these plans with people, because I'm sure other people are looking for inspiration.
Well, I'll be glad to share ours. I mean, I don't have a problem in the world with that. You have 1,000 feet of clearance basically that you have to be in that circle radius, of a 500 feet radius, 1,000 feet diameter. We're going to set a station up in one area, a station up in another, and we're going to schedule operators to come in and out. And that's what we're going to do. And, we'll sanitize equipment between hand. We'll have alcohol wipes on hand, and we'll sanitize equipment. And if we're going to have two operators in the same area, if they're comfortable wearing masks, then we're going to recommend they wear masks. And, we'll do that. If we got one operator, he's able to log and talk himself, well, and hey, great, no problem. And, if we have a group of folks out there, we're going to ask them to keep 6 feet apart, and, we'll set up a campfire or a table or something out in the middle, chairs out in the middle, spaced apart appropriately, and we'll operate that way. That's basically we're going about it. We've canned the picnic. We're going to push that back until July or August for the club, and we're going to do that. As far as field day, we're planning to operate in K4YTZ and go from there. We may have a second team with N4YTZ, and they may operate a different class out of the clubhouse, but that's the plan right now. So I think, and it's doable with that much distance between the operators. I mean, keeping 6 feet apart is not a problem, especially if you're running 2A, 3A, 4A. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, that's easy enough. You set up some tents and 10 feet apart, and you put your antennas out on the periphery, and you'll be good to go.
Well, I guess the other bonus you got is the way you guys do it when you're getting out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can spread out more, and then it's a lot more fresh air circulation.
Absolutely. There was something I was going to ask you about, Mark, before I forget. We had a request. The new ARRL or FCC guidelines regarding RF exposure. Are you aware of that?
I know that there are new guidelines out.
We have a request from club members. They would like you to come do a presentation on those new guidelines and tell us how we should handle the new guidelines. So when you're comfortable and when you have time to research it, we'd love to have you as a guest speaker for that.
I think the league ought to produce a video for that. I'm sure everybody's got that question.
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe that'd be the way to do it, Brad.
And
or we could do it. We could do it like this too.
Yep.
Yeah, and you guys are more than welcome to use the clubhouse to do it. We've got the green screen and the whole works, so you guys have full access to the clubhouse to use all the equipment and TriCaster and everything. So feel free. Anytime, not just for this, but anytime.
Well, I think that those rules changes, when you read them, what you discover is there are some things amateurs are going to have to do and think about that they didn't have to under the previous version.
But we had to do this back in the late 90s when they came up with those RF exposure rules.
Yes, the new rules have some additional twists to them, and where I think it
research them so.
Where I think it'll get more interesting if you're somebody who's mostly active on VHF and UHF, and somebody who's been known to run more than 5 or 10 watts, particularly when I ran EME, I'm gonna have to think about that. Right now, I'm only running high power on 6 meters, but there was a time when I had at one point, I was running several hundred watts on 2 meters into an array of Yagis, and
yeah, but the good part about that is that beam width gets narrow.
Yeah, but if the moon is close to moonset,
you're pretty much at the horizon. Yeah, you're cooking your neighbor.
Going right through the building.
Well, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is,
hold this bag of popcorn.
The wavelength for 2 meters is about 6 feet. That's your average, about your average human height.
Yeah.
You're going to radiate.
Yeah.
So I think if you're a person who operates mostly on 160, 80, 40, not such a big deal, but you get into the higher bands, you have to start paying more attention to it. I'd be happy to do something. I've actually got to contact the North Augusta Belvedere Club. They asked me to come and do a presentation.
Isn't that where that middle school team is?
Oh, that's the Schofield Middle School Club. Yeah, the mentors are members of the North Augusta Belvedere Club. They invited me, which was very nice, but we never agreed on a topic, and I really have to loop back to them and say, what would you like me to talk about? Let's get that nailed down. We never quite got that nailed down. This is something that I know something about, so this won't be so bad. When's the next month you have available?
I think we have availability this month and next month, so and in July as well. No pressure, Mark, whenever you're ready to do it. I'm doing the live stream this week, and I think we have somebody else has something in the can for the next week, but so whenever you feel comfortable doing it's great, no problem.
All right, let me start. I'll dig into it tomorrow, and I'm going to be honest with you, John. It's not like I have a lot going on. I sit in front of this computer and work 8 or 9 hours a day, and then deal with Miss Lee. So that's about it.
You can come over here. They're going to start cutting trees next week, so I'm going to have antennas going up here very quickly. I think I'm going to go with the what is it? The spider beam. I think I'm going to do 5-band spider beam and rotate the whole mast from the bottom. I've got an 1850 channel master, 40-foot mast. I'll run the coax straight up the center of the mast and bring it out at the top and feed that monster the spider beam, and then I'll go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do for 40 and 80.
That's a hex beam, right?
No, it's a flat beam. Basically, it's 4 spreaders.
Yep.
With, I think it's 3 elements on 20, 3 elements on 17, 3 elements on 15, 3 elements on 12, and 4 on 10. I think that's right.
It's similar in concept to the hex beam, Brad, but it uses 4 spreaders instead of 6.
And they're not bent up in that bulged configuration. It's flat.
So it's a quad beam. Right?
Well, it's not a quad.
But it's a quad beam instead of a hex beam.
Well, yeah, you could say that, but that might be confusing.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
Because there are other kinds of quad beams. I ran a quad for a long time.
Cubicle quad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one
I
that
looked at building one of those, but when you get to 20 meters, they get really large.
Yes, they do.
Full-size tri-bander Yankee for.
And if you're, what is it, Golf Zero Victor Echo Yankee over there in the UK, he runs a cubicle quad for 80 and 40 and 160.
Well, I don't run a quad on 160. I run a single rectangular driver on 160. It is 85 feet by 190 feet.
Oh, that's that vertical loop you have that runs.
Yeah, that's essentially, it's a 1-element quad.
Yeah, that thing's a monster.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Brad, I'm going to need to step out for a moment.
Well, I think we're about done. It's 10 o'clock. We need
to
Barry's
gonna
say hey to Barry. But are you getting the 5-band version or the 3-band?
Yeah, I'm looking at the 5-band.
I tell you, if you can get it where you can get all the bands on one feed line, that's the way to go.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, it's not much more money than the 3-band, so it's like, okay, why not?
Well, yeah, why should it be, right?
And I've got buy-in from the XYL, so she's like, yeah, okay, because I'm cutting down. I've got a big pen oak in the back of the yard. It's actually, I measured it today. It's 8 feet in circumference. So we're taking that one down, and we're taking down a few others, and that'll give me enough room to put the beam up.
8 feet in circumference.
Yep.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 feet or so in diameter. It's a big tree.
It's a big tree. I can't wrap my arms around. I can tell you that. So.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for coming in.
Hey, again, thanks for the invite. Glad to do it.
Yeah, we'll maybe we'll put some more thought into it a little further out rather than a 2-hour heads up like I did today.
Hey, I don't have much of a social life, so I'm always available.
Well, you probably appreciated the escape.
Absolutely. All it was me and the dog here tonight, so the dog's laying in the kitchen or somewhere around here. But anyways, gentlemen, you all stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you over 10 minutes here 10 meters here in a few minutes.
All right.
John, take care. All the best to you and yours. Brad, you'll have to check me into BerryNet. I need to go in the house and go find another adult beverage.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, I think, do that myself too. I'm going to
have to
carry
the bottle.
John, if you get there first, check in all 3 of us.
Yeah, just check us in, John. We got to go find another bottle.
And give him W4YCC too.
And K4CBA.
And K4CBA. Okay. 7-3 all. Take care.
See you guys. Enjoyed it. Thanks.